welcome. It is my pleasure to give this talk on digital humanism to you tonight. But first, I choose to show you a video. We produced a video in digital humanism because it's kind of a not so easy notion. What is digital humanism? What is digital? What is humanistic tradition? So please, let's look at the video in the beginning. Digitaler Humanismus ganz allgemein bedeutet für mich, dass das Internet und die digitalen Technologien zum Wohle der Menschheit eingesetzt werden und dass Wahrheit, Demokratie und Inklusion befördert wird.
Für mich bedeutet digitaler Humanismus, dass die Bedürfnisse des Menschen und Grundrechte des Menschen im digitalen Raum genauso gültig sein müssen und wichtig sind wie im analogen Leben und gleichermaßen aber auch die Verantwortung füreinander und für die Umwelt ebenso relevant ist.
Rechtlich ist insbesondere relevant, dass alles, was mit dem Digitalen kommt und alles, was entwickelt wird, mit der EU-Grundrechtecharta, aber auch mit der Europäischen Menschenrechtskonvention kompatibel ist. Ethisch ist der digitale Humanismus weiter als nur eine Grundrechtsprüfung. Also eine typische Frage wäre zum Beispiel die, ob es in Europa sowas geben soll wie ein Instrument der Bezahlung des Einzelnen dafür, dass er oder sie seine Daten zur Verfügung stellt.
Digitaler Humanismus bedeutet für mich, dass Technik für Menschen funktioniert und so designt ist, dass es unser Leben einfacher macht. Und nicht so wie derzeit Apps und Devices, die wir nutzen, im Endeffekt nur dazu da sind, um Daten zu monetisieren. Und mit Daten monetisieren verstehe ich, dass jeder Klick, jede App, die wir benutzen, gesammelt wird und benutzt wird, um Profile von Benutzern zu erstellen, mit dem Endziel, dass dann jeder Nutzer seine eigenen Versicherungsprämien bezahlt, je nach Profil oder andere Preise für Flüge etc. angeboten bekommt. In einer unserer letzten Studien haben wir mobile Browser verglichen, um zu sehen, welche Browser auf der einen Seite privacyfreundlicher sind, aber auch sicherer. Und haben dabei gefunden, dass es gravierende Unterschiede gibt im Sinne von, welche Transportprotokolle die Browser benutzen, um Passwörter und so weiter zu übertragen. Auf der anderen Seite auch Browser gefunden, die Daten sammeln, die der Nutzer nicht erwarten würde, zum Beispiel die ganze Browsing-History an Third-Party schicken.
Als Feministin ist es mir ganz besonders wichtig, jetzt darauf zu achten, dass Frauen in diesem Prozess der Gestaltung der Rahmenbedingungen mitreden können, um eine gute Zukunft für uns alle zu gestalten.
Also wir haben im Juli ein großes Citizen Science Projekt gestartet. Wir sind gerade dabei, unsere Briefe zu digitalisieren. Viele dieser Briefe sind natürlich inkohärent geschrieben, alle davon handschriftlich. Und die Inhalte aus diesen Briefen können wir nicht erschließen. Also diese Ressourcen haben wir im Haus nicht. Und wir haben die Bevölkerung aufgerufen, uns bei der Erschließung unserer Briefe zu helfen. Und binnen wirklich weniger Tage hat die sogenannte Crowd uns die Briefe erschlossen. Und für mich zeigt dieses Projekt so schön, es gibt einfach Menschen, die sich mit kulturellem Erbe beschäftigen wollen und partizipativ daran teilhaben wollen und das auch mitgestalten wollen.
My thesis is that technology co-evolves with humans. And if I'm right about this thesis, then making sure that technology develops in ways that are good for humans is harder than we think. I'll give you an example that there are people in my field that work on, which is autonomous weapons. A key question is, are we comfortable with ceding the authority to kill to a machine? And if not, do we require a human to make the decision? But what if the humans are manipulable by the machines? I mean, the machines have actually shown us that they are very effective at manipulating humans. And consequently, this question of whether it would be adequate to just have a human in the loop, well, maybe it won't be. Another area that fascinates me is you look at the astonishing emergence of these AI-driven artwork and essay generators. You know, because of the way these machines are trained, they tend to reinforce stereotypes. So if you ask them to give you a picture of a man in a jail cell, they will almost certainly render a person of color. So You know, in all of these cases, we need to focus on the human-machine partnership, and with all the complexity of psychology, sociology, history, and of course, technology. So digital humanism is about confronting the complexity of this problem. How can we ensure that technology develops in ways that are good for humans?
Also Digitalisierung wird in allen Industrien, in allen Lebensbereichen vermehrt eine bedeutsame Rolle spielen. Und es liegt jetzt an uns, die Rahmenbedingungen zu schaffen, dass das auf eine gute Art und Weise passieren wird.
Und auch Forschung zu fördern, die genau mit solchen Thematiken umgeht und nicht den Status quo der Technik, die wir nutzen, und den großen Technikkonzernen einfach so annimmt.
Now I address in my talk, of course, a few topics already mentioned in the video, and I talk about digital humanism first, and then I try to explain what we in the Vienna City Library understands under the notion of digital humanism and what we do. And as Edward Lee, he's a really famous researcher at the University of Berkeley, has already mentioned in the video, it will not be an easy task to fulfill what we as citizens of this world have to fulfill within the coming years. So, as you all know, we live in a digital world, yeah? Everybody of us has digital devices. The pandemic has acted as an accelerator for this development, and it doesn't really make any sense anymore to talk about a digital versus an analog world, because it interferes with each other. And what's also a great thing is that we have to be part of digitization, yeah? If we are not, we are excluded, and having digital access means autonomy and the power to shape, and that's what we need. We have to shape this digital transformation. We have to shape AI, because it's on us to say what they are doing in the future with our world and our lives. And that the digital technologies have changed our life, we know, but we need technology. This world is based on technology, and technology has always solved problems and will do so in the future, that's for sure. And I will try to give you an impression on why we came up with digital humanism, what problems we have been confronting, and for this we have to go back into the mid-19th of the last century. In 1996, the internet was invented, yeah? And Tim Berners-Lee, one of the inventors, nowadays says the internet, the system is failing. You know, there are a couple of young people, but more my age, and we all know when the first internet came to our life, how the computers, how we begin to send emails and stuff like that, and how I can imagine when we had access to information worldwide, and it was free back then, yeah? We had access to digitized books, to a lot of knowledge. I remember when Wikipedia was invented. I remember when the Encyclopedia Britannica was put on the web. It was a very expensive dictionary and a lexicon, and finally it was on the internet, and we had to pay for it. And it was a big promise attached with the internet, yeah? Participation, democracy, free access to knowledge for everybody. And 30 years later, we see that the internet almost has changed to the contrary. We are confronted with a lot of filter bubbles, with surveillance, with, with fake truths, of course, yeah, with fake science even, and that's why Tim Berners-Lee, who I already mentioned as the inventor of the internet, in an interview 2017 said, the system is failing. we have to do something about it. How the Hippies Destroyed the Internet is an article by Moshe Wadi addressing a topic I come to on later, and over there you see a book, The Internet is Broken, which means the Internet is just in the hands of a few platforms who are saying us how we have to use the Internet or how we can use it. So, you know, on the one side, the technical developments always open up unprecedented opportunities, but also risk, as Madame Ambassador already said in her introduction. And the technological developments, they really challenge us as a society. They question our view of humanity and our values and agreements. And that's why in 2000, I skipped this, that's why in 2019 there was a workshop organized by the Technical University in Vienna, because this double phase of technological developments wanted to be shaped. Over 100 attendants from academia, government, civil sciences, services, participated in a very vivid and lively 2 days workshop. It could have been in an environment like we are in right now here. And at the center of this discussion was the relationship between computer science and informatics and society. As already expressed by Edward Lee, this co-evolution of machine and humankind. And this co-evolution has to be actively shaped according to the values of enlightenment and humanism. And after the 2 days, they came up with the Manifest of Digital Humanism. The Manifest of Digital Humanism, here there are a couple of the main pillars of this manifesto. It's democracy, regulation, the role of research and science in academia, and of course education. The manifesto is now available in 7 languages, and Hannes Wertner, back then, was dean at the Technical University, and he really was and still is the driving force between digital humanism. And there is a nice quote, and now I have to put on my glasses again because otherwise I'm not able to read it. Let me quote him because it really brings it down what digital humanism is about. First of all, it is a positive, constructive initiative that puts people and society at its center. And the quote of Hannes Wertner is, quote, "Digital humanism is an interdisciplinary approach that looks at this interplay of technology and humankind. It analyzes and, most importantly, tries to influence the complex interplay of technology and humankind with the goal of creating a better society and life." Digital humanism builds on and expands European values since the Age of Enlightenment, namely human rights, democracy and inclusion, to secure them in our digital life. It goes beyond traditional humanism in embracing a diverse perspective, rejects colonialism, emphasizes societal aspects, and includes sustainability. Because why do we stress this? Because the notion of humanism is a very male notion, of course, and there is a lot of discussion going on in Austria and even in Germany if this is the right term for what we are trying to do. We are convinced it is a good term because humanism means the human being is in the center of this development, but we also know of the other sides of humanism, male, very autocratic, very Western-orientated, so that's why we expanded the term of humanism. And it was a German philosopher called Julian Niederrümelin who came up for the first time with this notion. He's a philosopher and he was also a politician. Very good combination. Yeah, digital humanism has, it's an approach to describe and analyze, and above all tries to influence the complex interplay between IT and humanity. It's an initiative to actively shape digitization. It is a call to use digital technologies to protect human rights and develop democracy. And of course, it strives to use digital technologies for progress and innovation and for retaining and advancing social achievements such as human rights and democracy. What's really important in digital humanism is this interplay between technology and humankind on the one side, and it is a very interdisciplinary approach. It's not about informatics or AI researcher. They are part of it, but they need the human sciences, the sociologists, the political scientists, the politicians, the civil society in order to being successful. And what's very, very important is to have the arts in this process, because artists always have been and always will be the creative minds in this world. They always have a very different way of approaching problems. They always come up with very unconventional solutions, and that's what we need. We need interdisciplinarity in this field, and we need the artists for their really unusual, uncommon, and very creative way of thinking. And of course, ChatGPT, one couldn't give a talk on digital humanism without mentioning ChatGPT, and the Digital Humanism Initiative in Vienna adopted in March 2 months ago, a statement about ChatGPT. Who of you has used ChatGPT? Okay. I just ask you, are you happy with it? Does it help you? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. The same applies for me, yeah. I use ChatGPT because it helps in certain fields. Also, you always have to double check because, as they say, it hallucinates. The machine hallucinates, which is too nice of a term for what it is doing because it just makes up things, yeah. It's just making up sources, references, even books, yeah. If you use ChatGPT, you have all of a sudden a quote which never was spoken by anybody living on this earth, yeah. It comes up with a reference that the quote is cited in this book, but the book doesn't exist. So we have to be very careful about it, yeah. But if having this in mind, that you have to double check the names, the books, and the quotes, it does a good job, yeah. And I always say, no wonder it does a good job, because it has all the digitized knowledge. It doesn't have a brain, yeah, in his backlog, so to say, yeah. It has these millions of books written on this earth, being digitized, putting on the internet, and is there open access, yeah, because every institution and also libraries and even Google, they put their knowledge and their digitized books open access on the internet, and that's why ChatGPT is that good, because it uses the knowledge we have digitized. And no wonder it can produce good text, because there are so many books in the backlog of ChatGPT, yeah? So it's not a miracle that it really works good, yeah? It's just pure mathematics and algorithms. That's all it is. Okay, and the Digital Humanism Initiative pretty much said or has the opinion of what I just explained to you. And what's important for us as digital humanists, we really state that AI and ChatGPT needs regulations. We are confronted with AI in the years and months to come, but we have to regulate it. And AI is only good if it's regulated AI, yeah? That's one of the main or key demands of digital humanism. And why we had a talk already today at the embassy, and why it's so wonderful that everybody is talking about ChatGPT is that the whole world is talking about AI. Otherwise, we wouldn't talk about AI, I think, yeah? But ChatGPT really kind of challenges humanity, yeah? It challenges us to define what it means to be human, It defines us, what it means to, it challenges us on answering the questions, what it means to be creative. Yeah, can a machine be creative? Everybody of us has an answer to that. My answer is no. It's just math, what it's doing. It's not creative, yeah? It comes up with different ideas and different texts, but creativity is something different. And artists, I'm sure, will agree. As you have seen before, I was in the video, and you already saw a part of the Vienna City Library, and I now want to address the topic on what we in the City Library do about digital humanism. As Madam Ambassador already said, we are not so famous for books. What the Vienna City Library is famous for is posters, manuscripts, and stuff like that. We have one of the biggest literary archives in Austria. We have a big music collection. All of you, I'm sure, know Johann Strauss, you know, the waltz king. All of you, of course, know Schubert. We have all their written manuscripts in our collections. So it's really a treasure we are holding there. And I just, you know, put into a few slides with photos of the library. That's in the attic of the City Hall in Vienna. We are in the City Hall. That's in the attic. So it's a very nice working place, of course. These are our reading rooms. You have already seen the stair. We are very fond of our stairs. That's the reading room. This is our closed stacks, and you see manuscripts down there. It's in the basement of the City Hall. Here as well, another impression of the stocks. That's an artwork done in our poster collection. Above this artwork, there is the poster collection. It's a growing rooftop. Here, of course, you see a couple of posters. We have more than 450,000 posters in our collection, and we don't know, but we are at least one of the biggest poster collections in the world. We are the biggest in Austria, and we are the second or third biggest in Europe, but we don't really know exactly. Yeah, and of course, that's one of our offices. You see, it's really nice, yeah? And, you know, as a working place, it doesn't really function very well, yeah? It's a representative room, yeah, but we have a big honor in working there. And what we do in the Vienna City Library is not only collecting, cataloging, and archiving, as every library, of course, does. We are doing a lot of exhibitions, publications, and events, because I think the digital transformation we are confronted with also forces libraries to widen their fields, to widen up into what they are doing, because collecting alone is not enough anymore. We run the Wien Geschichte Wiki, which is a small Wikipedia for the city of Vienna, but it's the biggest wiki of a city in the world. Of course, we retro-digitize our collections to give the world access to our collections so that people don't necessarily have to come to the library to use our collections. And of course, we are very engaged as a library with digital humanism. And now, what digital humanism in the Vienna City Library is. First of all, it's digitalization and archiving has to stay in public hands. I don't know, who of you uses Google Books? Do you know that there is Google Books? Yes, okay. Google Books started, I think, in 2001 or 2. And what Google did is Google needed a lot of data for their search engines, yeah? Because, you know, they have this fight. When in 2000, there were a lot of search engines. There were Yahoo, Alta Vista, there were meta search engines even, yeah? And there was Google, yeah? With a new technique called PageRank. And now, who uses a different search engine than Google in this audience? Everybody uses Google, yeah? I mean, there's DuckDuckGo and some alternatives still, but Google is just the leading search engine in the market, and not only the leading search engine. And why it is so? Because they began to digitize books and they gain a lot of data. And of course, they digitize the books and put it on the internet for free. Nevertheless, it's in the hand of Google. It's owned by Google. And a lot of libraries all over the world, even the Austrian National Library, a lot of US American libraries, big libraries, yeah, New York Public Library, Oxford University Library, and so on, they cooperated with Google to get their books digitized, yeah, because for the libraries it was for free again, yeah. Nothing is for free if you cooperate with Google, because they gain the data. If we use a search engine, it's free, but we pay with our data, yeah. We always have to bear this in mind. We are paying with our data as soon as we get information from the internet. And when Google started to digitize the books, there was the director of the French National Library, which is a real role model of national libraries in Austria, in Europe, and he said, "Stop it. Europe has to build up a European digital library, because it cannot be that the books get digitized by private company whose business model is to make money." Of course, he wasn't heard. Google is still digitizing books, yeah, but the conviction of us as City Library is public cultural heritage has to stay in public hands. It shouldn't go into private hands. And Google is a private company, and Google, whenever they like it to be, can cut off Google Books, and we don't have access to it anymore, yeah? So this is my plaidoyer against Google, in a way, yeah? No, I mean, I'm exaggerating, yeah? But as a library, I think it's really important that public funding funds digitization in libraries or other cultural heritage. The second thing is, what in libraries always did was giving access to information and also training people how to use information, how they can find information, you know, making people literate, information literacy. And I think this is more important than it ever was, because when I was a student, you know, we had still a paper catalog, yeah, and you looked it up, and you didn't have access to digitized content. And I think it's great that we have the catalogs online, that we can search all over the world for the resources we want for our research. But what people more and more lose with this information overload is to make a distinction between what is good information, what's bad information, what is truth, what is fake truth, what is based on facts, what is just opinion, yeah? And with the world to come, and with AI, and with this loads of data and information we will be confronted with, yeah? I mean, this is just, you know, going up like this, yeah? We really have to train us and our pupils and our young juveniles to being able to make the distinction between truth and fake truth. And it's a hard work to be done, I'm sure, because there are a lot of AI researchers who are convinced today that we will lose this competence, that we in the digital world will not be able anymore to make the distinction between fake and not fake. I think there are two, well, there are a lot of answers to this problem, yeah? But one answer is libraries, they have knowledge, they have collected knowledge, they have knowledge which librarians took into the collection because it's knowledge based on facts. And the other thing is, you always have a reference, yeah? If you do research or if you write articles, you have to list references, yeah? If you quote someone, you have to give the reference, yeah? I cannot just make up a quote and write a peer-reviewed article. You have to give a reference. So I think this is gaining importance. And on the other side, I hope that artificial intelligence and informatics come up with a different solution, yeah, for solving this problem, if information was done by a human being or done by a machine. So, participation and citizen science. I think librarians always have been gatekeepers, of course. Yeah, we are gatekeepers. We collect cultural heritage. We collect information, and it's up on us to say what lands in our collections and what not going into our collections. And I think we have to engage the people in Vienna and all over the world. And I already mentioned the citizen science project we are dealing with. And it's amazing. I'm always so amazed because, you know, we put our letters onto the internet, yeah? Letters written in current font, yeah? Nobody, I don't know, there may be a couple of people in the audience who are able to read current font, and we put it on the internet because we would never ever being able to transcribe the text. And we had a press conference, and well, I really was not convinced if it works, and 2 hours afterwards, 70 letters were transcribed. In the evening, it was 270. The next day, it was 400, yeah? And it only took the crowd 2 weeks to transcribe our letters, yeah? We put on the web 3,400 new letters last week, and this was a screenshot from yesterday. 1,742 were transcribed, yeah? So people want to be engaged, people want to be involved, and people want to make information available for the rest of the world, yeah? So this participatory turn, as it is called, is really important for libraries because they have to engage with the crowd, with the people, with the citizen scientists, because they want to be involved in shaping the collections. And of course, we all need, and this was already said by Madam Ambassador as well, we need analog places. It's so important to have analog places like this where we can hear, where we can gain new information, where we can discuss, where we can interact, to learn. And libraries are at least these analog places, these third places where you are not forced to consume anything. And, you know, on the bottom line, I always listed the Digital Humanism seminar series. What we did in 2020, 2019, when you can remember, the Digital Humanism Manifesto was adopted, and in 2020 we said, together with the Viennese newspaper and the University of Applied Arts in Vienna, Artists Newspaper Library, we organized this seminar series every 3 months on digital humanism. We always have a discussion, and we ask people, you know, to interact with the experts, and of course, on the 5th of June, we have our next panel discussion, and of course, it is on ChatGPT. What else could it be in times like this, yeah? And I know that libraries always are at stake. There are a lot of voices who say, who needs libraries anymore? And I really am convinced that libraries, at least now and for the next couple of years to come, and then we'll see for how many years ongoing, libraries are needed more than ever because librarians have this information competence. They can train people how to differentiate fake truths and truths, and of course they are third places. And why digital humanism is so important. It's not only about shaping AI, it's not only about shaping the digital transformation. If we as a world society, as citizens of this world, if we lose a common frame of reference, if we lose that you are saying that's true and I'm saying it's not true, and we are able to find out why is it true or why is it not true, if we are not based, if our common notion of truth is not based on facts anymore, we lose our reference for democracy. So if we lose facts and truth and this reference model, I'm convinced we use democracy. If everybody of us gets his or her own truth, and social media, that's what they do, yeah? Everybody of us gets what he or she wants to know, yeah? Nothing else. They don't even confront us with anything we don't want to know. And if we bear in mind that's how they work, that's what they do, then we are safe, I think, yeah? And if we share this common notion of truth in the future as well, we are on a good way to save democracy in this world in general. And that's why I really think that this science festival like this one is really a great opportunity to come together, to think about it, to discuss, to get into action and to interact with each other, because it is on us as citizens of the world, it is on us as society to shape how AI will turn out. And technology is not objective. It is us who can shape it in the future. So, as I said in the beginning, digital humanism is a plan to act, so let's act together. Thank you. If any of you is interested, there's this book on perspectives on digital humanism with a lot of different authors, with philosophers, sociologists, artists, of course, a lot of informatics. And you can download it for free. It's open access at Springer, and that's the link. But if you just Google it, yeah, you'll, of course, find it.
Do you think that AI can compromise human development? I mean, when it is used in schools by children who are in the phase of their development, when they are actively developing their skills for critical thinking, children from 10 to 12 years old, specifically. Because I'm a history teacher, and when you give assignments to children which are aimed to help in their development, and they use AI to do the work for them, do you think that there is a possibility that this could compromise their abilities to actually develop critical thinking and analytical capacities? That's one thing. And if you think this is a possibility, do you think that there is a way to regulate using the use of AI in schools? And do you think there should be some form of regulations that are to be employed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for this question. I think AI in schools should be regulated because even if we as information literate persons, that's what we think we are, and we try to be it, yeah? And if pupils who have no idea of information literacy, who have no idea of the notion of, facts and truths and stuff like that, I think they shouldn't be exposed to AI in a way that it's not mediated, yeah? I think there will be AI, and you have to deal with it even in school, but you have to mediate AI and tell the people how they can use it, what's the problems with AI, that they cannot rely on AI, as well as they cannot rely on information on social media, yeah? It's getting more complex, yeah? The world is getting more complex, yeah? And, 20 years ago, I gained my daily news from the newspaper I was reading, yeah? And now you gain the news from social media accounts, from the internet, from written newspaper, from online newspaper, from ORF, which is the public broadcast in Austria, ORF.at, and you read it all and you kind of reflect on it, and then you come up with something of which I think is true, let's put it this way, yeah? And I hope it is true, and we still can rely on it, yeah? Because we have still journalism which is paid, yeah? we have broadcasting which is paid. It's not that I pay with my data when using them, yeah, at least even in the online newspaper. So that's the long way around to your question. I think it should be regulated on every way, yeah, even in schools, yeah. I also think in school you should regulate how to use mobile phones. You should regulate it, yeah. I'm very authoritative in this way, yeah, because as soon as a person can decide on how and what she wants to use, it's okay. I have a little nephew, he's 6 years. I wouldn't want him to decide if he wants to use a mobile. It's up on his parents to decide.
Гражданите, какво бихме могли, за да улесним процеса на хуманизиране на дигитализацията?
To help the digital humanism society to have like a humanist digitalization, so to speak.
And what we can do to make it,
as the public, as citizens, could do to make it.
Okay. What we can do to make it come to life is talk to every person in our vicinity, in our neighborhood, people we know, and tell them about how we pay information with our data, on how social media really works, yeah. I mean, I'm not a dystopian person, yeah, and I'm not a pessimistic person, but we have to be aware. We are living in filter bubbles. We only get the information we want to have on the internet. We are paying with our data, and it's on us to kind of revolt against what the big tech platforms are doing with us. And the more people know about it and the more information literacy the world gains, the better it will be for us, yeah? Because now, I mean, social media is just not a nice way of interacting, yeah? Social media is just, you know, their model is only, they want us to stay on social media as long, every minute longer is pure money for them, yeah? That's the business model. And as long we are aware of it, we can use it, everybody of us uses it, but we have to know how they act and what they do with us and why, yeah? So it's about getting competence, and the more people who get competence, the better it is. So that's what we can do, sharing this information.
My question is about the purity and the beauty of natural language, which I am sure that you are very sensitive to this topic as a librarian. So do you notice a process that the artificial generated text and also automatically translated text is influencing the whole culture of humanity, and we are surrounded by such text, and actually, at least I think I'm noticing that the natural language that people are using is being influenced by machines so much that now they talk differently and they use constructions that are not natural, but they just assume them with time, and now they are using them. And I think the process of machines trying to get closer to the natural language is the gap is being closed by us. We are helping the machines which are unable to catch us, and we just give up and we simplify our language to help them.
Great question, because, you know, I've written my thesis on natural language, so it's the right question for me, yeah? Yeah, of course, I'm convinced that we lose a lot, yeah? We lose our language, yeah? And the language is influenced by the machines. The machines are trained by us, yeah? They learn more and more, and we lose more and more, yeah? I'm convinced that, and there are studies, yeah, that, what's the Wortschatz in English? You know, the words you are using as a normal person, it's downgrading, yeah? So we lose exact language, we lose the fine distinctions in languages. Even, I mean, I'm not against English language, yeah, but we lose a lot of English terms in German. And what's really awkward in Austria we speak German, but quite different than in Germany. Yeah, it's High German and just dialect German, yeah. And all the kids in Austria, they now speak High German, yeah. They speak very, very proper German. Yeah, it's unifying, yeah, it's unifying. And that's what the digitization is doing. It's unifying a lot, yeah. And that's a big pity. We are losing a lot of languages, so we have to support all the writers in this world to keep up a beautiful and very big variety of words and languages in this world, yeah.
Thank you very much for the lecture. It was really very interesting. What I would like to know is that one of your colleagues in the beginning in the movie that you showed, in the film that you showed, was speaking about the importance of feminism in this whole issue. So I would like to know, how does a feminist framework or approach to digital humanism look like? Yeah.
A feminist approach looks like, you know, how I say, I'm looking for the words in English, you know, bringing everything into the picture, yeah? I think it was Edward Lee talking about the biases in AI machines, yeah? And, you know, you have a lot of biases. In Austria, we had a model by one organization, and the AI used for picking persons to get a job, no women was picked, because it was you know, putting their biases into the machines, yeah? So we have to really be sensitive, not only to put the feminist views into this whole process, but a lot of views, yeah? The feminist views, like, you know, Edward Lee said, if you ask the machine to bring a picture of a person in jail, it will be a black person, yeah? So you really, and that's one of the biggest demands in coming up with a wise AI, that you avoid the biases, and that's very hard to do, yeah? Thank you very much for all your questions. Yeah, thank you. It was great.